welcome to the PHNX Daily Bet Show, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and leave a 5-star review. I'm here with Johnny Venerable for another division preview show on this fine Saturday. Johnny, we are previewing the best division in football, the NFC East, today. How are you feeling?
I am ready to talk about the redheaded stepchild of the NFL, the teams that will get the most undeserved primetime games throughout the NFL landscape. I hate it. It makes me sick. I want nothing to do with the Commandos, the Commanders. The Giants are one of the worst run football organizations of the last half decade plus, and yet they're going to be televised right in my dumb face all season, and I hate it. So let me hate talk about all these teams except for one.
All right, well, let's get into America's sweetheart, the Dallas Cowboys. So, acquisitions, re-signings, you get Gallup back, you franchise tag Dalton Schultz, you extend DeMarcus Lawrence, you grab Dante Fowler, you re-sign Van Der Esch, you get Malik Hooker, and Javon Curtis, and you get a punter. So, pretty good on that front, but you go to the offense, and this is where it gets a little scary. You lose Amari Cooper, traded to the Browns, which I just don't get. You lose Cedric Wilson to the Dolphins, which, again, what are we doing?
You're re-signing the guy with a torn knee.
Yeah. You get Blake Jarwin, or you lose Blake Jarwin, which he was pretty good last year. And then your offensive line kind of falls apart for the first time in a while. You lose La'el Collins, you lose Connor Williams. Defensively, you lose Randy Gregory and Keanu Neal. And their big kick, their big stick, Greg Zuerlein, is also gone. So just from an outside looking in standpoint, I think their projected win total is 10, and I think we'll get to that later. But what is your outlook on this team?
This is one of the easiest teams to fade this entire season. They overachieved last year. I think Mike McCarthy could be the first coach that Jerry Jones has fired midseason in, I think, 15 years. I think we could see a scenario in which, Dan Quinn purposely didn't take multiple head coaching opportunities in the offseason because I think he knows that this is going to be his team sooner rather than later. I think the Cowboys have gotten significantly worse on the side of the ball that matters in today's NFL, that being the offensive side. They start with Tampa and Cincinnati. I think they start the season 0-2, and I think everything will be clamoring to the fact that Mike McCarthy, what does he do? He doesn't call plays. He doesn't coordinate the defense. He just kind of is there. And you mentioned it, the offensive line that was already a little bit deteriorating last year. They have a new center. They have a new right tackle. Both are negative players in terms of PFF grades compared to their predecessors, especially Terrence Steele at right tackle taking over for La'el Collins. Tyron Smith, Zach Martin have not been able to stay healthy each of the past 3 seasons. Cracks in the foundation for this offense, this once prolific offense. And Dak Prescott is an under 500 quarterback without Amari Cooper. He is not the same quarterback. I love CeeDee Lamb. I'm smashing all of the overs for CeeDee Lamb as an individual. But, their defense is nice on paper. And they're well coordinated by Quinn. Quinn knows defense, as you know, Shane, dating back to his time in Seattle. Lawrence, and they signed Anthony Barr, which is a really under-the-radar move. I do think Trayvon Diggs' season last year will be an outlier. We've already seen him kind of having a tough training camp. I think he deleted his Instagram because people
he deleted his Twitter.
Yeah, he was getting cooked by an undrafted free agent. I think the whole team regresses, but I think the offense severely regresses. We'll be talking about it being broken. I think this team wins 7-8 games this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same way. You mentioned the Michael Gallup thing after getting it surgery on his ACL in February. And losing Cooper, it's Lamb and who else? It's not going to be fun. I think their defensive line is going to be fine. You still have Micah Parsons. I think their defense will be okay. But I think we're going to see it step back. I think Trayvon Diggs is going to have a huge regression year. Obviously, he wasn't great last year. He had a lot of interceptions, but there's a lot of blown coverage. So, yeah, not very high on them. We'll get to them a little bit later in the show. Now going into the New York Football Giants territory, big signing in Tyrod Taylor because you think he's going to be the starter in Week 10. You get former Arizona Cardinal Ricky Seals-Jones, but you don't really do anything else. You get the offensive line a little shored up. That's good and well, but Like, this team's so frugal with their money. I hate it. It doesn't make sense. You let Evan Ingram walk. Will Hernandez is now on the Cardinals. What was the James Bradbury thing? Well, why? Why don't you pay your guys that actually do something? Lose James Bradbury, lose Jabril Peppers. I don't know. I don't know.
They're stripping this down. I respect Brian Daboll. They have gone through head coaches and GMs like Candy. Dave Gettleman sent this organization back a half decade. They're stripping it down. It's going to be another shitty year for the Giants, but at least they have clear direction. And they're waiting for their next quarterback. They want to be in a position to get one of the top 2 signal callers at the college level. I respect that. You're not winning games with a broken Saquon Barkley. Let's call it what it is. I think he's going to have his share of touchdowns this year, but he can't run the football like he once did. Sad. The Giants have ruined Saquon Barkley. Nobody can disagree with that. Daniel Jones is the most mid quarterback. He loves turning the ball over. He loves running into sacks. Andrew Thomas is fine at left tackle. They should have taken Tristan Wirfs. And then on the defensive side, you mentioned it. I mean, Blake Martinez is their starting inside linebacker. He's one of the worst graded inside linebackers on all pro football. Adoree Jackson is one of the highest paid players on this roster that they could potentially be looking to move, the former Tennessee Titan out of USC. No one can argue this. It's a bottom 3 to 5 roster in the NFL. And they will probably set themselves up for winning meaningless games at the end of the season as people buy into Daboll, as they play the shitty NFC East teams that they always are competitive against. But this is a team with a ceiling chain of about 6 games.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pulling up a text that I got sent from my friend that's a Giants fan. I'll pull it up in a second. But before I get there, we're going to be making some bets. We've been doing this the entire preseason, or even before the preseason, previewing these divisions on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. There's so much stuff to bet on. If you just head over there right now, they have quarterback interceptions, defensive interceptions, sack totals for players, rushing, receiving, touchdowns, yards, everything, awards, division specials, like all of it. So head over to the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use that promo code PHNX when you sign up. Make your first deposit, get $1,000 risk-free bet instantly. Maybe throw it on the Eagles to win the division. I don't know. That might be a little teaser for what's happening later in the show. But do whatever you want with it. It's literally free money. You get it back if you lose, risk-free. You just gotta make your first deposit and sign up using that promo code PHNX. But just remember, age and eligibility restrictions apply. And see those show notes for more details. This is a text I got from my friend Jack. He sent me this 2 days ago, watching the Giants preseason game. He goes, turned it on to Daniel Jones overthrowing a short pass into the flat. Big blue football, baby. I laughed. He goes, and a Kenny G drop. And I said, wow, that's rare, sarcastically. He said, I hate this shit. Our starters can't even score against the Patriots. Backups literally make him play the whole game. He needs reps, talking about Daniel Jones. I can't do this for another year, man. And then triple text me 20 minutes later and said, Tyrod Taylor will be the starter week 6.
Daniel Jones got overdrafted because, number one, he went to Duke and he was coached by David Cutcliffe, who endorsed him to the Mannings, who then endorsed him to NFL media, mainly Dave Gettleman in the front office. That was one of the worst picks in recent memory. Kenny Galladay, I think, is going to be one of the worst free agent signings. It's in recent memory, $20 million per season. Detroit, who doesn't make a ton of good decisions, was a great decision by Detroit, as just Kenny G collects checks for the Giants. But yeah, this division to me is the worst collection of talent in the NFL. Easily. You put any team from the AFC West in this division and they run away with it handedly.
Yeah. We haven't even talked about Saquon. He's still on the roster. He said he, quote, can trust his knee again. So that's good.
Soul explodes.
It'd be fun to see him play well. And the funniest thing, the main thing I'm hearing out of this camp of what people are seeing is it looks like a modern NFL offense because of Brian Daboll, of course, right, which is hilarious. They're like, ooh, pre-snap motion. Kadarius Toney, he might be good. There's a small percent chance that he's a superstar, but we haven't seen anything yet. So,
well, my favorite part about that is that everybody in the front office for the Giants were like, yeah, we're going to trade him. And then Brian Daboll gets there and he's like, he's one of the most talented players we have. He's not going. We need him. I don't care if he's the worst human being off the field. I can't have dirt skirt running routes for me. I need somebody that can separate. And Tony has ability. It's never been about his ability. It's been, can he keep it together off the field? Is he a good dude? But Giants they don't have enough good players, man. It's as cliche as it sounds, but they have picks. They need to hit on them. And again, you and I are bullish on Brian Dable, and what he did with Josh Allen was unprecedented. So I want my head coach today in today's NFL to be a play caller, to be an offensive guy.
Yep, definitely. Well, before we get to the only good team, in my opinion, in this division, not only good team, but only team that I feel confident betting on, we'll talk about the Commanders, and we'll touch on them briefly. They traded for Carson Wentz. I don't know. They re-signed J.D. McKissick, they extended Terry McLaurin, and they didn't really do much else. They lost Ricky Seals-Jones to the Giants. Ryan Fitzpatrick obviously retired. You lose Brandon Scherf.
Here's what I'll say about their team. They have a really nice front seven coached by somebody who knows how to bring pressure, how to win games ugly. This is a team that I do not think will sniff the playoffs, but they have a surplus of pass rushers and defensive tackles that will keep them in games. And then I think they have one of the most talented receiving corps in the NFL. If you've looked at Johan Dotson, the rookie out of Penn State, what he's done this training camp, like this is going to be a team set up if they keep it together this year to trade up for a quarterback next year and win right away. Because I think that they have the pieces, they have the infrastructure very much. I hate to say it, like San Francisco. They're built like San Francisco was a year ago. But Wentz is just a hot mess disaster, turnover waiting to happen. Frank Reich quit on him. I mean, he might be out of football in 2 years. He's not the answer. But I don't blame Washington. They tried everything. They tried to get Russell Wilson. They made inquiries about Aaron Rodgers. Like, no one wanted to go there. So it was like Wentz and Washington, they only had each other.
Yeah. They replaced Brandon Scherf with Norwell and Turner, two Pro Bowlers, all pros. So got guard play, at least. I don't know. It's teams just.
We're going to get some sloppy fantasy points from this team. Wentz, here's the thing about Wentz is he's going to just play YOLO ball, but like Curtis Samuel will have a resurgence. McLaurin's McLaurin and Dotson will shine. Like, they're going to be down, and he's just going to have to sling it around, and it'll be ugly, fun games at the 10 o'clock window that we'll all laugh at.
So would you say that Carson Wentz is in command? All right.
In command of just the worst headshot known to man. Did you see that headshot of him in like that Letterman jacket?
No.
Way too close to the camera. It's one of the worst photos I've ever seen. But he got kicked out of Indy last year. I mean, he threw 27 touchdowns to 7 picks, and it was in a conservative offense. I think we could get like a Jameis kind of like 30 season from Carson. I would be all for that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Add some spice. All right, well, let's talk about the Eagles. I think the best team in this division, especially with the offseason they had. Obviously, the big thing, getting A.J. Brown in the trade with the Titans. You get Jason Kelce back. You get Fletcher Cox back. You get Hassan Reddick, which is big, and then you get James Bradbury from the Giants. I really like, and you get Anthony Harris. I really like what they did. This defense is a lot better than it was when they were sending out Jalen Mills as the starting corner, which now the Patriots are going to be doing that.
Seems dumb.
Notable departures, nothing crazy. Jordan Howard, but the running backs don't matter in this offense. Brandon Brooks retired. Steven Nelson, another corner, is on the Texans now, and Ronnie Mccloud goes to the Colts. So I don't think it's that bad in terms of losing people. I think they got better for sure. And I'm excited to see what step Jalen Hurts takes. The only hesitation I have, and it's because of recency bias, is how awful he was in that playoff game. A little bit worried about that.
It's fine.
But I do have confidence in him. I think he's going to be a competent quarterback. And see if he can take that next big step forward and enter into the top 10, top 15 discussion.
I mean, and I love what Philadelphia has done because they've taken advantage of, they're paying their quarterback nothing, and they can go out and trade for an A.J. Brown. That's what you do if you're a good organization and you have a rookie quarterback and you extend him. It's like what the Cardinals did once upon a time with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Devontae Smith, I think, is a bona fide superstar in the making. Their offensive line, they have two of everything, and they got Cam Jurgens to back up Jason Kelce, somebody I know the Cardinals were interested and were going to take in the second round before they took him. And then listen, on the defensive side, when Jordan Davis is there and he falls to you, when somebody like Nakobe Dean is available too. I mean,
Yeah.
they have a surplus of talent on this team. They have the most talent of any team in the division. And I think if you combined Washington and the Giants together, the Eagles have more talent. I really do believe that. Now, are they a contender in the NFC? I don't think so. I think that it would rely on them getting home field advantage throughout the playoffs, running the football, consistently with Miles Sanders. But I think that this division is going to be wrapped. I am so bullish on this roster. Coaching staff proved me wrong last year. They got to the playoffs. Kudos to them. They beat up on a lot of bad teams. But I mean, they have a front seven specifically that outweighs, I would say, probably 3/4 of the National Football League. When you got Derek Barnett, who's a former first-round pick out of Tennessee, who's a backup on this team,
Yeah.
and Nakobe Dean is a backup on this team, and Jordan Davis is a backup on this team to Fletcher Cox and Hassan Reddick, as you mentioned, coming home, and Slay's an all-pro at corner, and they're flush with talent. And Jalen Hurts he's just a facilitator. He doesn't have to do too much.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, I know both me and you are on the same page for this forecast of the division. I think we both think that the Eagles win this, and the Cowboys probably finish second.
Yes.
Because I think the bottom two can finish in any order. I think the top two can probably finish in any order, but I would assume the Eagles win. So we'll get into your forecasted record predictions and such now. What do you like the best?
Yeah, I like Eagles to win handedly, and I think Dallas does just enough to overtake Washington. The Giants are by far the worst team in the division, but I do think the Commanders, their over/under is 8. That's way too high. I think they're a 5, 6, 7 win team max. There's no way this team's sniffing 500. No chance.
Yeah.
And then I think the Giants have a chance to be not only under 2.5 division wins. I think the Giants are going to contend for the top pick next year. It's going to be very similar to what Dan Campbell did in Detroit last year. Dable will have that same effect offensively, where they're playing hard, they're covering the spread in games they're not supposed to. They just don't have enough talent. And the NFL is about talent. That's not, breaking news flash here. But they don't have enough good players to score touchdowns and win games. And so when that happens and you're playing against a gauntlet of Pro Bowl quarterbacks, you're going to lose 99% of the time. They don't have the personnel. They don't have the horses. I like phasing all of these teams, and I like the Eagles to run away with this division.
Yeah, completely agree. As you see when we get into my picks, the same exact thing. I think that's exactly how this division finishes 1 and 2. I got the Cowboys under 10 wins. I think that's too high. I think Dak has a pretty big step back this year. I mean, he wasn't great last year. Everyone wanted to blame it on the calf. Even he didn't want to blame it on the calf. He said there was bad decision making and everything. He said, you guys are giving me too much. You're giving me an out. And I just don't think that's the case. I think he was just bad, made some bad decisions. I think he has less help this year. I think they're either going to struggle for a while with no Michael Gallup. It's just not going to be pretty. So I'm taking them under 10 wins. That's plus money right now, plus 100 on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And then the Eagles fly, baby. 3.5 division wins.
Oh, let's hammer that.
I don't understand this. I mean, plus 105, I think you assume they should win both or all 4 games against the 2 dirts in this division. And
unless Rivera, defensive coach, could get hurt on a bad day. I mean, that's very we're treating Jalen like he's established, and he's not quite yet.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. So yeah, plus 105 on DraftKings. Love that the most. And yeah, I'm excited to get out to some tailgates, and I'm excited for our tailgate show. And I'm the most excited for our partner to be helping us out with the beverages on our tailgate show. And I think we'll be out in Glendale for home games. But
how about it?
That is to be determined. So definitely come hang out with us. Drink some Four Peaks. If you can't make it, you can get it anywhere in Arizona. A lot of other states too carry it too. So go ahead, grab some. Each beer I've had is better than the last. They're just fantastic. From the peach ale to the hazy IPA to the hop knot to the hilt lifter, they're all just great. So go ahead and get some. Remember, you got to be 21 or over to drink it, and you got to enjoy it responsibly. All right, well, let's get into some of the players in this division. Johnny, what is there anyone that stands out before you get into your props that you think is going to surprise people this year, good or bad?
I mentioned Dotson.
Yeah.
I think that Curtis Samuel did not have a good year in Washington last year, and supposedly he's been out of shape in camp. Dotson is the number 2 receiver to Terry. Scary Terry would not be a surprise to me. I loved him for the Cardinals. He went way higher than people expect. He went top 20 in the NFL draft. He plays bigger than he is. And then, I mean, just like Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round, these rookies in the NFC East are – listen, when it's a bad division and you get a bunch of top picks, you're going to get a bunch of rookies that intrigue me. But then on the flip side, like, again, Daniel Jones, I think, is a lock to be benched at some point during this season. He looked terrible last night. It's a franchise. It's a proud franchise once upon a time. And this coaching staff and this regime, this general manager regime, executive club regime, has no ties to Daniel Jones. They owe him not a GD thing. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So Tyrod, I almost would be at the point where I would just rather start Tyrod because I know I'm not going to get the mistakes.
Dotson right now on the DraftKings Sportsbook app is plus 2,000 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Would you sprinkle maybe 5 coin on that?
Yeah, maybe $5. Listen, it's difficult unless you have a Jamar Chase-esque rookie season to do that. But you also can hedge your bet. I don't think a quarterback's going to win it this year.
Yeah.
So, and I don't love any of these backs either. So could conceivably be one of these receivers that went top 20. He will have the best shot out of all these receivers to get an influx of targets. He or Drake London in Atlanta, who, by the way, also looks fantastic. So I think the better bet is just any of these receivers to win.
Yeah, George Pickens is also plus 2,000. That's a little juicy. I've been hearing some really good things about him.
Had a great camp.
But there are definitely more talent in that receiving room than others. So let's get into your props for some players in this division. What do you like the most, Mr. John?
Yeah, I like Jalen Hurts over 22.5 passing TDs. Again, don't love him from a 4,000-yard passing standpoint, but boots, play actions. He's got too many targets. You're going to tell me that Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, and now A.J. Brown are not going to have 22.5 touchdowns combined. They definitely will. Saquon Barkley, I also think, will be at least a touchdown machine in the red zone if they get there.
If he
running the
stays
football.
healthy.
Yeah, and he's got something to prove. He's somebody that would like to continue his career elsewhere. And I also just think that who's going to score touchdowns for the Giants if it's not Saquon? And then
the only receiver on the roster.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb's going to eat this year. Everybody knows this. This is the easiest one on here to project because they don't have a ton of targets. Gallup's, there's no guarantee he's ready. Doesn't sound like for the start of the season. What are you going to count on a rookie to be able to take hold of this spot? I do have a little bit of concern because CeeDee's always operated out of the slot, and now Amari's gone and Gallup's not here. So he's going to be facing number 1 corners. But again, similar to Pickens, every offseason workout I've seen, Lamb looks fantastic. It's really hard in today's NFL when you just have to average about 65 to 70 yards a game in 17 weeks to not have 1,100 yards, especially when you're the number 1 receiver in a division without great defensive secondary play, especially Washington and the Giants. So he could put up 200 yards against those teams in 4 games. So
yeah, I'm sorry. I keep going back to this. How do they let Cedric Wilson walk, man? Like you're throwing a rookie out there.
An 80-year-old man is their general manager.
Yeah, true. You're throwing Jalen Tolbert out there to start.
And I like him. He's fine, but he's
we saw him at the Senior Bowl. He's speedy.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Dak's going to have some problem. Dak's interception, as you are going to allude to here, they're going to be up. His picks are going to be up.
Yeah. Before we get there, I just wanted to read over what their expected starting 3 wide receivers are. Michael Gallup is obviously hurt, so Noah Brown would slot in there.
Not ideal.
Simi Feheko or James Washington.
He's
and then
fine.
The other 2 are CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Tolbert. So we'll see. We will see. Speaking of Dak and cheesy Dak, over 10.5 interceptions thrown. He's gonna have to force some balls, man. I just don't think he has enough talent around him where he's not going to be forcing balls. We've seen it in the past. He struggles with decision making at times, especially when they're down. So yeah, I'm taking him over 10.5 interceptions thrown at -110. I like that a lot. And that's supposed to say touchdowns for A.J. Brown. Obviously, he's going to have over 6.5 receptions. That sounds like a prop I'd take in week 1, though. A.J. Brown over 6.5 touchdowns. That's also a -110. Big fan of that. I think that he's going to score a lot of touchdowns, as Johnny alluded to with Jalen Hurts. And then I like Jalen Hurts on the ground this year. He hovered around this mark last year. I think he's going to do a lot of running because of how much man they're going to have to play, or deep zones, deep halves. I think he eclipses the 725 rushing yard mark, and that's plus money at plus 100 on the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. So those are my 3 favorite props for this division. It's going to be interesting. Going to be a wild ride. Really excited to watch. I'm not excited to watch the primetime games as much as I'm just excited to keep up with this division, keeping up with the. I couldn't think of anything clever.
I'm excited when they all get flexed out by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same. Anything else about the NFC East before we get out of here, Johnny?
I am very much looking forward to the day that this division really brings the Giants and the Commanders back to the forefront. I'm excited for my kids to be able to watch quality football in the Northeast again when they're about 20-25.
When Daniel Jones is a player coach.
Yeah.
I'm excited as well. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. We'll be back on Tuesday, I believe. I don't know if we'll be live on Monday yet. We're moving spaces. It's going to be a good time. Keep locked in on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, on the PHNX Sports Twitter. We'll have a lot of updates there to come. You can follow me on Twitter at Shane D. If you can follow Johnny on Twitter at Johnny Venerable. Follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_bets. We'll be back sometime next week, usually Monday through Friday, but the schedule's been messed up, so I can't always say it. You got a peace and love for the people out there today, Johnny?
Let's see. No, I don't. You put me on the spot. Peace, love, and picks for Carson Wentz. Many picks.
Love it.
Many picks.